Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Nick here, and today I have somebody with me that I told you guys about a month ago that I was really looking forward to having on. We were able to make it happen. I'm joined today by Michele Dawson, an actress from one of my favorite movies, Halloween
Oh,
Ends. Michele, how are you?
hey, I'm doing great. I love hearing that. It's one of my favorite movies too.
Yeah, well, we'll get into that because there are some questions and some comments about that movie that I definitely wanted to run by you. But before I get into that, I mean, I know a lot of times I've seen recently, especially probably since right around Halloween Ends, you've done a lot of interviews and like podcast appearances and stuff, correct? You've kind of
Yeah.
people have asked to talk to you.
Oh my gosh, I love meeting the fans, meeting everyone who is passionate about the franchise Halloween. It's so much fun for me. Yeah, so I truly enjoy like being able to sit down and chat and get to meet people who are passionate about it because I'm honored to be a part of it.
And you, if I'm not mistaken, you have recently gotten into the convention circuit. Is that correct?
Yeah, so far I've only done one. So yeah, reach out to All Star Conventions if you want me to come to a city near you. But yeah, so far I've only done the one in Pasadena that was the 45th
Mhm.
anniversary of the franchise Halloween, which was so cool to be at. I mean, it was like everything Halloween everywhere you looked. I saw some of the coolest Halloween art there. It was super impressive. I mean, I could have dropped a whole lot of money just like buying Halloween art. Like seriously, I was so impressed with the talent and yeah, level of posters and graphic art that there was there. And so fun. Like honestly, I mean, to be honest, I wasn't really as involved or with the horror community previously. So I was pleasantly surprised by just how wonderful and welcoming and kind and generous with their words and everything all the fans were. It was really just a pleasure to be able to participate and meet people who are so passionate about this franchise.
Yeah, I was gonna say to your point about like you could have dropped so much money. Yeah, that's a big reason why I didn't go, because it's probably not best financially for me to do that. But I have been to South Pasadena and seen the filming locations and stuff, and it was just really cool. But I hope
Yeah,
to go to
really fun.
50, and I hope you're able to make it to the 50th because I know there's
Me
going to be a
too.
50th.
I
Yeah,
hope so. I mean, you would think so. I mean, 50, that's a huge, marker. So,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, and it's
yeah.
it's
Hopefully it
crazy to think
happens.
that it's enveloped a lot of people's lives. Us fans and actors and actresses and
Oh,
and
yeah.
writers, directors, whatever it may be. But Sean Clark is actually the guy that usually heads that stuff up.
Yes.
And I've Sean's a friend, and I've had him on many times, and
Oh, nice.
he was like, "Yeah, we're gonna do 50, but that's the last one I'm doing." He's like, "I'm doing 50, and then I'm stepping aside." But he knows that apparently they really want 50 to be a really big deal, and they're aiming to even get Jamie Lee at 50. So I've got to make my way out there for that one. I do. I mean,
Definitely. I mean, that seems like the one to make for sure.
yeah. Well, speaking of which, Horror Hound is coming to Cincinnati next month, and
Oh,
that's
cool.
actually my neck of the woods. And I was
Nice.
kind of bummed to see that you weren't going to be there. I know
I
James is going
know.
to be there, and Rowan will be there.
Mm.
Um, I don't know how that works. Do you reach out, or does someone reach out to you and say, "Hey, do you want to come to this?"
Sean Clark represents me, so it's really
Okay.
just him letting me know where to be.
Okay. I didn't know
So
Sean
yeah,
represented
so
you.
yeah. So basically, yeah, if people have an interest in me being somewhere, just reach out to Sean and he'll kind of, let me know if there's enough of a pull for me to, to be there. So, yeah. But no, I'd be happy to come out. I had such a wonderful time in Pasadena. I'd be happy to
Yeah.
do more of them.
Yeah. Well, before I get into Halloween Ends, I gotta say, I did some research on you, just to see because I know as an actress you probably hate when it's like, and I would hate it too. If it's like, hey, let's only talk about one thing you've done in your entire oeuvre. You know, let's not talk about anything else to do with your life. I didn't want to do that. So first of all, I got to say, I noticed on your Instagram you do these what you call them partnered acrobatics, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
what exactly is that? Because first of all, there's no way I couldn't do any of that. I see some of the stuff you guys do, and I'm like, that's really cool. But like, I don't know, kind of give me some insight into what exactly that is.
Yeah, well, I mean, to be honest, I'm gonna back you up even further. So I was the type of like child or toddler that like climbed on everything. So I was always climbing to the top of all the cabinets in the kitchen. I'm kind of a petite person. I've always been petite. And so for me, like, I don't know, I was pretty determined and just always a climber. And we even had this like massive rocking chair in my house. And if I had like a slideshow presentation right now, this is where I'd put up the picture of me when I'm like 2, hanging onto the side of the rocking chair, looking like I'm like hanging off a mountain and like rocking back and forth. So just envision that. And so with
I
that,
am.
eventually my parents got me into gymnastics, and I was a gymnast for 10 years growing up. And so that was a huge part of my life. I did competitive gymnastics. So I basically went to school and then I would eat a snack in the car and go to gymnastics for like 4 hours.
Mhm.
So, and then come home and do homework. That was kind of my life. So for me, now jumping to partnered acrobatics, post college, studying theater, starting to, get into the acting world. Um, yeah, I found this honestly on Instagram. I saw these people flowing doing acro yoga, and I was like, that looks beautiful. It looks like
Mhm.
a dance, this like flowy dance. And I was like, that looks like something that really speaks to that part of me that had kind of gone to sleep for a long time, the gymnastics part of me that um I thought was kind of retired. I was like, like I'm not 18 anymore. I don't know
Yeah.
that I'm gonna be flipping around forever, and, and so but turns out partnered acrobatics, I get like all the thrill that I got in gymnastics because I'm still flipping and everything, but
Mhm.
the poor base absorbs a lot of the pounding that my bones
Mhm.
and joints would get from me doing gymnastics by myself on apparatus. And so the partner kind of becomes the apparatus, while also at the same time you have to be so in tuned with the partner so that they're not 100% apparatus, they are a person. So
There's
obviously
gotta
they
be a
can.
lot of trust there. That's what I would
Yeah,
imagine.
yeah. And like neither person is perfect, so you have to be able to kind of adjust, where you are that day, where you are that moment, and make sure everything's safe, because it's going to feel a little different every day. But
Yeah.
yeah, so I fell in love with that, and that was, gosh, like almost 5 years ago. And now like it's just become my like fun hobby. So I get to audition a lot during the day, reading scripts, memorizing lines, things like that.
Mhm.
And then I get to set it aside, kind of like go into, okay, that's done, shutting that door, and go into phase 2 of the day and train some partnered acrobatics. And you have to be so present when you're doing it, that it's such a wonderful release for me to kind of like, because as an actor, it's challenging. It's a challenging career to pursue. There's, obviously a ton of rejection. You don't get every part you audition for. Like, you can feel so good about it and be like, oh, that part is mine. I
Mhm.
killed that audition. And then you never hear anything. Crickets.
Yeah.
So it's wonderful to be able to like have this sport that I can jump into. And like I said, it forces you to be present when you're, thinking, okay, I've got to set, I've got to push through my legs. I've got to, you know,
Yeah.
throw with my arms, and then I got to like open at the right time. And because there's somebody else involved in it, I'm very aware, like, ooh, I need to do my job so I don't injure us or them.
Yeah.
So it's like keeps you accountable for like doing your
Yeah.
best.
Well, and I was gonna say too, like it's actually really cool to hear you say that, and clearly it's something you're passionate about, and I think it's really cool that I don't think at any point in our lives we should lose certain aspects of though, things like that. Feel like as we get older, certain hobbies, like you said, like, well, I'm not going to be a gymnast anymore. I'm getting
Yeah.
older, but you
Yeah.
found a way to kind of rediscover that love that was always there while
Hmm.
also making it more age appropriate, so to speak. I mean, you're
Yeah.
definitely not old. That's, but it's just, you're kind of just branching out while still keeping the love for some of those things you did when you were younger. And I think that's really
Yeah.
cool. And so, I mean, like I said, I watch you do it, and I'm just like, that stuff is insane to me. Like the body control and focus and whatnot. But I would imagine it's probably not that crazy for you being an adult doing what you're doing now, because like you were talking about when you were in high school, it sounds like you've been a pretty busy person for most of your life. Like it's go, 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 right?
I don't like to be bored.
Yeah.
I mean, I do appreciate some downtime and some rest time, but I don't really like to be bored. I was an only child that kind of, grew up with not a whole lot of kids my age around me. And so, yeah, I almost have this like, ooh, I don't want to be bored, because I just remember being bored, a lot
Mhm.
at home as a kid, and, playing by myself, all the time. And, which developed my imagination and all that thing, helps with my acting. But
Mhm.
um, yeah, I don't really like to be bored.
Well, hey, that's a good way to live. And I want to kind of go to 2022. 2022 is a big year for you.
Yeah,
From what I had seen before Halloween Ends, if I'm not
yeah,
mistaken, you got nominated for an award for a Texas short film, correct? Is that correct?
maybe.
Yeah, it was.
That sounds familiar.
What was the film? Was it something signature? Something?
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah,
I think I got nominated maybe for like best actress,
yeah,
best
yeah.
lead
You did.
actress, or
You
something
did.
like that.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That was a really fun short film that I have this buddy, and gosh, I met him probably over 10 years ago doing a play, and we've just had this relationship, and he, reaches out, and we work together, and we collaborate, and we create sometimes strange projects that we're not sure where they're going, and then sometimes we have scripts, and it's been fantastic because it helps me a lot as an actor. I get to practice, different skills when you don't exactly know where you're going or what the character is, and you're developing all of it, the character and the story and all of it at the same time. And you're not even sure what the world is. But I trust the director to, kind of lead me, and yeah, we have a lot of fun creating things together. And that was a script he wrote with me in mind, thinking, it's funny because when I first read the script, I was like, "You wrote this for me?" I'm like, she's like cursing every other word, and she's super angry.
You don't come across as an angry person at all.
But yeah, this character was very much that way. She was having a bad day, and yeah, it's funny though, because sometimes I really enjoy playing characters that are very different from me. There's something about letting yourself go and immersing yourself in, these qualities that are different from you, getting to, speak differently from you, and but yet at the same time bringing, spices of yourself to it as well. But yeah, so that's funny. That's fun that
Well,
you found that.
it's really cool. I think that like everybody's got to have a friend in the industry like that, and to have a friend that they write a script and one of the first people they think of is you.
Mhm.
It's got to be a really cool feeling. It doesn't matter, what it is. To if any of my friends came to me and they were like, "Hey, I wrote this and I have you in mind for it," I'd be like,
Yeah.
"What did I do to deserve that?" So,
Yeah, it's
but
great.
yeah, no, that is really cool. And then obviously the year was capped off with Halloween Ends.
Hmm.
Now, if you can't tell, I'm a pretty big fan of Halloween. Have been my whole
It's awesome.
life, and I was terrified going into Halloween Ends.
Hmm.
I do a podcast with my friend Christian, and we've been doing it for years. And I had said going into it, after everything I'd been hearing before it came out, I was like, I feel like this is gonna be bad. Like, and I don't want this to be bad. And I walked out and I loved it. I mean, I
Yay.
absolutely, it's top 3 for me in the series. And
Yay.
let me tell you, the internet definitely had their way with me release week, of just how positive I was about it, because it was very split. But obviously, before getting into that, I just want to ask you the age old question you've probably been asked a dozen times. How did you get the role on Halloween Ends?
Hey, I will answer this question like I love this question. It's my favorite. So
Good.
so thanks for asking it. Yeah, so it's such a fun story. I'm a pretty driven person, obviously who doesn't like to be bored, as we've mentioned before. And so I'm, the acting world, you can't always just sit and wait for opportunities. You sometimes have to make your own, or, so I'm, a little bit of a hustler, and there's a whole bunch of acting sites that us actors are on submitting ourselves and things like that. And there's, sites that the agents are submitting and all that stuff. So basically it just came to, I submitted myself. I saw this part. I had no idea it had anything to do with Halloween Ends. It went by the title Cave Dwellers. And I submitted. It was like a nurse who's like, it didn't use the word driven, but it was something like she'll do whatever she needs to do to get what she wants. And I was like, I can tap into that, like, she's got goals and she's, trying to accomplish something. I'm like, yeah, I'm a driven person. So yeah, that was like Thanksgiving that year. What year was that?
21. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, 21. I know COVID messed everything up, like internally when it comes to years and dates.
So yeah, put myself on tape, 2 scenes. None of them said anything about anything being horror related. I
Mm,
had no idea what this was. Um, it was like the scene, it was like basically one of the office scenes with me and Allison, and then the other one was the bar scene with
mhm.
me and Lindsay and Allison. And yeah, and so those were my 2 audition scenes. I put them on tape, sent them in, and then got a message like a week or two later that the director wanted to do a callback with me over Zoom live. And so that's what we did. And then I got to do those scenes again. And then he had me improvise as the character. And he was like, okay, gonna let you in on something now. This is a horror film and you're gonna die. And I'm like, okay. And he's like, yeah, so I want you to just pretend you're sitting on a couch and, like your love interest walks in, or you think your love interest is walking in, you're expecting him. And instead it's a scary guy with a knife. And I'm like, okay. And so I still had no idea this had anything to do with Halloween Ends. And so, yeah, I did that, and I did this crazy big scream that probably had my neighbors thinking that I was being murdered or something. But
You have a great scream in the movie. I'll say that. You definitely do.
thank you. Well, that particular scream, man, I don't know if it was better, but it was a good scream.
Mhm.
And yeah, and so then a couple weeks after that, I booked the role.
So, I mean, I this was a question that one of my listeners had for you, and it's organic for this moment. I think is when you found out that it was a Halloween film. Was
Mhm.
there any kind of reaction for you? Like, had you been at all a fan of any of the previous movies, or was it just more like you knew what it was? And
Mhm.
then, what was it like once you found that out, knowing, oh my god, like I'm going to be in a Halloween movie? Was there more pressure? Was it fun? Like, what was your mindset?
To be honest, I'm grateful that I didn't know what it was until after I booked it, because I am the type of person that does put a lot of pressure on themselves. So I
Mhm.
always want to do like a really good job, and I have done in the past where I like, when I was newer to acting, I would psych myself out. I get like too excited about it. I'm like, oh, this is a big movie, like,
Yeah.
you
Yep.
know. So I'm kind of grateful that I didn't know what it was, because then it just allowed me to be freer and play and enjoy the character, and that was my only focus. And but yeah, so when I found out at that point, so I scare easily, as you can guess from my scream, which is very genuine. I scare very easily. So, and I have a really good imagination. So, I don't typically. I mean, or at least in the past, I didn't watch as many horror movies. Now that I've been in them and I understand them better,
Mhm.
um, I have a new appreciation, and I can more easily watch things. But previously, I would get really scared and then psych myself out, and I'd, have a hard time sleeping and all that stuff, have a hard time being in dark rooms or whatever.
Mhm.
I just spook myself silly all the time. So I obviously knew about Halloween. I mean, who doesn't? I feel like you
Yeah.
have to be under rock to not know the
Yeah.
franchise.
I'd say
um,
so.
and yeah, so after I booked it, I hopped on a call with David Gordon Green. He was like, yeah, at least make sure you watch the first one because your death is going to be a callback to this
Yes.
other death. And I was like, okay. So then, I watched that one. Then I watched a couple of the other ones. And, I just wanted to make sure I saw what was going on with the franchise and who the characters were and all that stuff. And then I have a greater appreciation. And then all of a sudden I was like super excited. I was like, oh, I'm not in some low budget movie that no one's ever going to see called Cave Dwellers. I'm in a
Yeah.
huge Hollywood
Yep.
franchise. This is like a
Mhm.
big deal.
It was so evident to me too, like the red carpet premiere of the movie, which obviously was a big deal for Jamie Lee. That was Jamie
Yeah.
Lee's like farewell for the series. But just looking through the photos, like everybody seemed like so happy to be there, and like they knew that this was a
Yeah.
big deal. This was the
Oh yeah.
end for Jamie. Like I just feel like personally, you wore that excitement. And I feel like it came into the role too. Like Nurse Deb was somebody that you like loved to hate and hated to love. Like it was so weird. It was like,
That's exactly what I wanted with
yeah.
playing her.
Yeah, and to me, watching it every time, I'm like, I can just tell that the actual person that is Michelle Dawson is not this person. Like, you do not seem like somebody that is very like, she's kind of sneaky, and you know what I mean. Like, but driven, yes, but she's definitely she'd be the first to stab you in the back. And but you pulled it off really well because like here
Thanks.
you are, a very sweet, genuine person, and then you turn into Nurse Deb, where it's like, I'll steal a promotion right out from you, Allison, and I don't care. So
Yeah.
I just I really dug it. But you mentioned the callback, and
Mhm.
you have the best kill in Halloween Ends,
Thanks.
and I just wanted to ask you what that day on set was like. Like I would imagine, was that actually you up on? Were you up
Yeah.
on the wall?
Yeah, that's all me. Mhm.
Did they have those things under your arms and whatnot to hold you up, or were you
Yeah.
standing? Like, I'm curious as to
I
how
mean,
that
I
went.
mean, I feel like I can't really tell all the Hollywood secrets. You don't
Yeah,
really
don't.
want to
Yeah,
know.
don't. Yeah. Okay. All right. Fair enough. But I did think that that moment was incredible, and anybody that's a fan of the original movie saw that moment, and we were just like, that is awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
It
again,
was so fun to film. I mean, to be
and you have
honest,
to remember too, like you just said, you're a part of history now for
yeah.
a fan base. Like you're always going to be somebody to us. So and then you get the great moment. I mean, like, come on.
I know.
That is a dream come true. I mean, what was your favorite moment, your favorite memory of like filming the movie?
Yeah. So I have a couple of things to say, but man, you are such a good interviewer.
Well, thank you. I don't do this a lot.
um, yeah, I just feel so comfortable chatting with you. But yeah, so yeah, I had a couple of things that popped into my head. But basically, when I filmed that, so I had not read the full script. I wasn't
Mhm.
privy to it. They'd only given me my scenes. So I had no idea that my death would be so big in the movie, or that people would respond to it the way they did. I mean, I knew it was a callback to the first one, so I knew that was cool,
Mhm.
but I didn't know like that. I mean, I was shocked honestly when like the first trailer came out, and I'm like, "Whoa, that's me!"
Yeah, you're front and center. Yeah.
And then another trailer came out, and I'm like, "Hold on, it's more of my scene." And then another trailer came out, and I'm like, "Hold on, now they're just giving the whole scene away."
Yeah, I know. Oh my gosh, I know.
And I was like, "They really like this scene. That's really cool."
Mhm.
and
I mean, it's
and
one of the best scenes in the movie. The entire scene is just incredible. But yeah, yeah.
I mean, it felt really cool, and I didn't realize until afterwards that, having, both James Jude Courtney as Michael Myers, and then having Rowan there as Corey, and having both of them connect in the scene, because I hadn't read the full script, I didn't know how important that was.
Mhm.
Um, But to me, yeah, it almost like gives me chills now to think of, what that all means, and putting both of them together, in that scene with me. It was just really cool.
Yeah.
They're both kind of coming at me, or it's kind of like
Yeah.
apprentice watching the
y- sh-
master, and you know,
Yeah. Your chum in the sea right there. You got two sharks coming right at you from either angle. I mean, it was a great scene for me personally. I know a lot of people really liked the scene, and I just think that yeah, like you said, working with Rowan and James on the same
yeah,
scene must have been really cool. But also, you are one of only three people that Michael actually kills in that movie. It's
right,
you, Rowan, and the cop. Everybody else is Rowan. So you're kind of in an elite company there. I mean,
yeah,
you're one of his
yeah,
final kills.
yeah, and filming it was everything and more that I could have imagined it would be. It was such a great experience. We shot that whole Dr. Mathis, all the
Mhm.
Dr. Mathis house stuff. We shot in 2 days, two like long like 14-hour days, and so the kill we kind of shot it over 2 days, but pieces. But yeah, the main like kill part with the charge and the wall,
Mhm.
that was it was so cool. Like they were going to do this one thing, and then the logistics of the room we were filming in ended up being a little different, so they ended up having to like kind of change the stunt just a little bit. But because of my acrobatic background,
I was gonna say.
I was able to just rock and roll and do it all myself.
Mhm.
They had I feel a little bit bad, but to be honest, like I've always wanted to do my own stunts because
Mhm.
I feel like I can. And they did have someone there for me to be a stunt double if I um, wanted her to step in, but I really just wanted to do it all myself.
So
Um,
everything that's on camera there is you.
oh, it's all me, 100%. Yeah,
Oh, that's
yeah, I know.
awesome.
I feel a little bad. She was so bored.
Hey, don't worry,
She,
she still got paid, and she didn't
I
have
know,
to get put through the ringer. So,
I know. I felt kind of bad. She had to like, she helped me, make sure I was all set up to not get injured. But then from there, I just took off and did it all, and she sat. But
hey, well, the fact that it is all you in that scene makes that scene even cooler to know that you did all your own stunts, and I think that that's awesome. I wanted to ask you too because I know we don't have a ton of time left, so I wanted to ask you what was it like? I mean, well, one, did you get to keep anything from the movie? Did you keep anything at all from the set?
no,
Oh man. Well, I mean,
I
what
know.
what could you have kept really? Like the robe?
I would have
Um,
loved to have kept all my clothes.
yeah,
Um,
all the clothes.
yeah, man, just going, okay, so I had like a fun, like 2-hour fitting of like playing dress up for everything that I wore in the movie.
Mhm.
And wow, the wardrobe people had brought such amazing options for me. It was such a fun, like, try on session to figure out what Nurse Deb was going to wear. It was a blast. And it was fun because everything I tried on, I got to wear in the movie. And like David Gordon Green was cool with it. Like they'd take pictures of me when I'm trying on the different outfits, and then they'd send them to David Gordon Green. And I kind of gave my input of like, I really like that blue dress, or
Mhm.
ooh, like the like devil costume that I'm wearing at the party. That was actually, the wardrobe people were fantastic. They actually took like a different shirt and a skirt and like made a dress out of them. And they tailored it all to me. They like literally like changed the whole thing from
Mhm.
what it originally was. Yeah, it was just so fun. So I wish I could have kept all of that stuff because I would have loved to have kept the robe. It was so soft and comfortable.
Yeah, it looked like it. It really did.
Yeah, in fact, our gosh, was it our DP, director of photography, or was it our first AD? I can't remember now what his role was, but he actually bought one for his wife, uh, and did he buy it for, I think their anniversary. So while we were on set, he was like, yeah, I just bought one for my wife. How do you like it? How does it feel? I was like, it's great. It's so comfortable. So yeah, it was
Oh
a
man.
great robe and so beautiful. So yeah, I would have loved to have kept that for sure. And then I loved the blue dress that I wore
Yeah.
in the Dr. Mathis house.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, yeah. I didn't get to keep
Well,
anything.
bummer that you didn't get to keep anything, but it's on film forever. That'll never
Yeah,
go away. We know it happened. So you can
yeah,
always say, hey, look at this thing I was in. I wanted to ask you, how was it filming with like Rowan and Andy, since they were the ones you mostly worked with,
yeah,
but mostly Andy? And do you still keep in touch with them? Like, what was that like?
yeah. Well, I would say almost all of my days I was on set with all of them, I think. I
Okay.
guess the Dr. Mathis house, Andy wasn't there, but I saw her in the hair and makeup trailer, I think, at least one of those days. But yeah, I mean, they're so great to work with. Lovely people, so personable. Um, I mean, we didn't have a whole lot of downtime, but we did in the hair and makeup trailer. So we'd all sit next to each other. I mean, I'll never forget the first day of filming. All of us are lined up in there: Rowan, me, Andy, and Dr. Mathis hadn't arrived yet, Michael. But I shot that first day without him. But yeah, and then Jamie Lee Curtis came in, and it was just it was funny. Like Andy, it was her first like real day, like long day. Like I think she'd maybe shot like a few little things, like maybe the Friday before, and I want to say it was kind of like all of our big first days. And
Mhm.
oh, and Kyle Richards came in. So we were all in the hair and makeup trailer together, and we all kind of had the like almost like first day of school vibes
Yeah.
going on of
Hmm.
like, I didn't sleep last night. Did you know? Did you? Like we were all so excited to be there. And
Hmm.
yeah, so it was really a great experience, great memories. I loved everybody I got the chance to meet and work with. Couldn't have asked for a better cast.
I mean, that it really is great to hear. I just got two more things for you before I let you go. When it comes to Halloween Ends, as I said at the beginning, the movie is obviously very polarizing because it dared to do something different. And as somebody like myself that's been a fan my whole life, I loved that. I feel like if you're going on almost 50 years, you
Hmm.
should switch it up. And
I agree.
there was a lot of drama, human drama to Halloween Ends that a lot of the Halloween movies don't have. So
Hmm.
I love the film. And
Hmm.
I think that your inclusion in the movie, it is perfect because we have this serious supernatural character drama. And then we
Hmm.
have these bits of Nurse Deb coming in to be snarky and smile. And, it's just,
Hmm.
I love it. It's some levity there, and it gives you a character to be like, oh, you're so invested. And then you're like, oh my God, Nurse Deb. Like, I remember the first time I watched it, I was so mad at some of the things you said to Andy. I was like, God, she's so mean. Um, but I just, it was very polarizing. But I want to know how you feel about the movie. I know you said it was so fun to work on. You're not
Yeah.
huge into horror movies, but like, are you proud
Well,
of
now
it?
I
Do you
am. Now,
enjoy the
now that I
movie?
get them more and I'm more comfortable and they don't scare me as much. Now I'm like,
Okay.
okay, these are fun.
Okay. So, but, and not just because you were in it, but do you actually think, like, you know what? This is a good movie.
Oh, yeah, I think so, 100%. I mean, to be honest, I had no idea. I had only seen, obviously, I knew my scenes, and then when we did ADR, I saw clips of a couple of other people's scenes, but I was seeing it for the first time at the premiere, and so I was just so impressed with all the storylines that were going on and how there was so much meat. I felt like in the
Mhm.
story, and I tell everybody this now who are like, who want to support me because they know me and they're like, oh, I'll hear from some people like, I don't usually watch horror movies, but since you're in it, I'll watch it. And I'm like, yeah, you have to. I was like, to be honest, like there's so much more to it. There's a coming of age story, there's a love story,
Mhm.
there's I bring bits of comedy here and there, and I'm like, there's humor and dark humor, but
Yeah.
humor. And um there's bullies, and I'm like, there's so much going on. I feel like everyone can take something away, or there's some type of entertainment for everyone in it.
Mhm.
And I liked that personally. I felt like it was more of a well-rounded story in a lot of ways, and not quite as predictable, as some other ones. So I loved it, and I love that David Gordon Green loves thinking outside the box, and
Yeah.
um, yeah, he's so fun to work with.
I just think that it's going to be a movie that as time goes on, I think more people will warm up to. I think that they were just kind of like you said, surprised. They didn't expect certain things, but that doesn't mean it's not good. And I don't want you to think at all that some of the things you hear on the internet, like, believe me, it's pretty evenly split. The people,
Yeah.
I haven't met a person that's like, it's fine. You either are like, oh, I hate that movie, or I absolutely love that movie. And I think that's cool. If a movie can elicit an emotion out of you of either like pure rage or like just a total love, like,
Yeah.
that's cool. I'd rather movies. The cardinal sin you can make as a movie is just being so fine, so middle of the
Hmm.
road. I mean,
Hmm.
you might as well switch it up. So
Hmm.
you're in horror history forever, and I think that's something that you do and should wear proudly, personally.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I do. I really, I feel honored.
Well, I just got one more for you.
Yeah.
Let us know what you've got coming up. I know I saw that you've got a couple television projects coming up, if I'm not mistaken. Can
There's
you
some
kind of let
things that
people know
are
what you're doing?
there's some things I'm chit chatting about. So I'm still kind of. I mean, to be honest, I feel like a lot of people don't understand that sometimes it takes a really long time to make TV shows. Like
Mhm.
Breaking Bad, I think it took them probably, I don't know, over 7 years or close to 10 years to get it in production. So sometimes it takes a little bit for projects to get their wheels turning, but I'm hoping I'll be able to announce something soon. But right now I've got some things kind of simmering, and we'll just see what happens first.
Hey, well, keep us in suspense. I like that. Everybody, if you do not already follow Michelle, I will put her links down below in the comments section. I want to thank you again for coming on. Like I said, I know you're busy. We went over a little bit on the time, so I hope I haven't
That
ruined
was
like
probably
your
because
evening.
me, because you got
Well,
me chatting.
I chat a lot too, so we're like a toxic duo right now. But seriously, I really, really did appreciate it, and I hope to see you in a lot more because I had seen write-ups online after Ends came out where a lot of people were saying this is an actress you should probably keep your eye on, and I agree, and I hope to see you do a lot more, and I wouldn't mind to see you come back into the horror realm, definitely. So
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me, Nick. This was fun.
yeah, yeah, no problem. All right, guys, thank you all for watching, and we'll see you later.